Hey everyone, it's great to see you all again. Today we are exploring the Mount Shasta wilderness area in Northern California. In this video, I will share with you some landscape photography tips and compositional techniques along with some astrophotography. I hope you all enjoy.
Good morning. It is our first morning here at the Mount Shasta wilderness area, and last week I saw a lot of posts on social media about the wildflowers that were up here in the Shasta area, so I rushed up here a few days later and was met with this. Yeah, that's snow. It rained and snowed all night last night, and so the mountain has a fresh coating and the fog is just beautiful up there. So I pulled out the 100 to 400 and we're going to pick out a few details in the mountain with the fog, and then I might pull out, it's just before sunrise here. I don't know if you can tell over there, it's just before sunrise, and maybe some light will hit the peak. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll pull out the wide angle and play around with the snow, but I was a little disappointed driving up here this morning seeing all the snow in the dark because I was hoping for the wildflowers, but it looks like we might have gotten a little treat. So we'll play around with some telephoto perspectives and see how they turn out. I made it up here to this vista point that is supposed to be overlooking a lake and then Shasta in the background. And as of just now, the fog completely rolled in. I'm shooting a time lapse, by the way, so you'll probably see that at some point. Some fog is moving super quick. But in the next hour or so, this fog should dissipate. Luckily, there's not any rain or anything in the forecast. It's just fog. Oh, the lake's starting to come out. Again, it's kind of eerie standing up here with the fog. Just can't even see the ground barely, but this should turn out pretty neat because the lake is right down there. And again, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but the lake is right down there. And then Shasta should appear right above the lake in the foreground when these clouds go away. So hopefully this time lapse turns out, and yeah, we'll see how everything turns out.
As the fog rolled across the hills, I noticed that I could pick out certain patches of trees that would peek up through the fog every couple of minutes. So, using my 100 to 400 lens and really focusing on those details, here's what I shot. Sun is out, and also the mountain is coming out. It was just up, you could see the peak of it just a couple minutes ago, and then this big cloud rolled in. But you can see that this is pretty much the only big cloud in the area. So we're at the same spot here. I came back for sunset, and there's still a couple hours before the sun sets, and I think that'll be enough time for that big cloud to move over. And then those clouds over there, I think will just be right under the peak, so we could have a really nice sunset. some apps are telling me that there's going to be a whole bunch of clouds. Some apps were saying that there's going to be no clouds. Some apps were saying that the sunset was going to be great, and some the opposite. So I don't really know what's going to go on. There were some like stormy looking clouds that were behind me, and the wind is blowing this way towards me, so it's blowing all of them out of the way. So hoping for the best. We'll see. I'm running a time lapse right now, and then I was just picking out some telephoto images. I'm not sure how those will turn out, but yeah, I'm really hoping for a good sunset. Another turn of events. This massive, like almost spaceship looking cloud has come over the mountain right there. I'm hoping it gets past. There's still like an hour and a half before sunset. But if it doesn't get past, if that lights up, that would be something else. But what I wanted to show you was I'm actually going to be using a polarizer to help bring out the contrast in the sky and the clouds. And so, for example, here is the shot. Here is the shot without the polarizer, and you can see that the sky is pretty bland and non-contrasty. But look at what happens when I turn that circular polarizer on. Just completely brings contrast into the sky there. Here's with it off, completely off. And as I turn it on, just darkens up that blue, separates the clouds from the sky. So that's something I'm trying to play around with. But I was originally going to do a vertical composition with the lake in the foreground and then the mountain in the background. But I think with this cloud here, if I can make it work, I think a horizontal composition of the whole scene is actually going to do it more justice. I'm hoping that wind kind of continues to push the clouds out of the way, but yeah, you just never know. I mean, all of this has happened in just a matter of a couple hours. Crazy. I waited and waited for the wind to continue to push the fog and clouds away from the mountain. And after a couple of hours, golden hour began to emerge through the clouds. It's about that time, and the mountain is almost visible, but the color in the sky is awesome. The texture and the patterns of the clouds, I think, are going to turn out awesome. I did do a vertical composition, but also a horizontal, and I think I'm going to like the horizontal more because the clouds are more horizontal. However, it's always good to shoot both in case you don't have enough room to crop in your horizontal. So I am super pumped about the lighting tonight. I'm glad the clouds kind of caught some color, even though the entire mountain wasn't visible. I think it was enough interest in the sky that it'll work out. Oh, this is so awesome. Because the light and clouds were changing so much, I couldn't decide which cloud formation and lighting I preferred. So I picked my two favorites. After the sun had set, I headed over to a spot I scouted out to do some Milky Way photography. So it's just after sunset, blue hour. I'm here kind of off to the side of the highway here, and I found a beautiful bunch of flowers here. And I'm going to try a Milky Way panorama focus stack blue hour blend. So I've got my 16 to 35 up right now. It's just beginning blue hour here pretty soon, just setting up my shot. And here, I'll kind of show you what I'm looking at here.
So as you can see, I've got the flowers in the foreground, and I'm going to focus stack those in. Maybe they almost look cool blurred out. Then I got the mountain there, and then I'm going to pan up and do a panorama of the Milky Way that should be right just about in the middle of Mount Shasta. It's been a lot of fun out here, and figured I would end my trip with a little Milky Way action. I saw the stars last night as I was kind of heading back to the campsite, and the moon rises at 10:30, and so between like 9:35 and 10:32 there's a little bit of time where it's like full darkness and you can actually see the clouds. The only thing is that on this side of Shasta there's not much for lookouts or anything, because the Milky Way is going to be on that side of it. So the best I could do is right next to a highway, but there are points where, and I'm assuming it'll be the same even more when it gets darker, but there are points where there are no cars on the highway, and I'm trying to hide all the man-made objects in kind of in the composition. I'm trying to hide all of them, but there is a highway, so hopefully we can get a shot where there's not too much light pollution or somebody driving on the highway. But yeah, we're gonna try this, and I'll check back to you when it's dark. It is now blue hour, so I'm taking my blue hour blend exposures, my settings right now, since I want the flowers here and the mountain back there, you can't see it. My settings right now are 3.2 seconds, ISO 400, and then f2. That gets me pretty decent noise, no noise, along with a short enough exposure to keep those flowers sharp, because it's a little tiny bit windy. So 3 seconds does a pretty decent job, but looks like the stars are starting to come out. So don't think you'll be able to see me, but let's see how this blend turns out. So this is a 6-image panorama along with a blue hour blend. I took 2 photos for the foreground during blue hour and blended them with a 4-image vertical panorama for the Milky Way. I ended up liking the flowers being out of focus as well. For this trip, I was planning on having a whole other segment on a nearby waterfall that I visited. However, my mindset while I was there wasn't the greatest for taking photos, but more for enjoying the falls. That being said, I didn't end up getting any photos that I really liked, and I think that's okay. It's important to remember to enjoy the places you travel to, even if you're not able to capture the images you really want to. Like I mentioned in the beginning, my entire itinerary and preparation for this trip was to capture the wildflowers before I realized everything was snowed out. I was able to adapt and work with the conditions I was given and had a blast while doing it. But I hope you were able to take something away from this video. If you didn't already know, I started a Discord server for the entire community to come together, share photos, and give feedback, and then at the end of every month, I'll be selecting one of your photos to feature in the Discord as a monthly contest winner. Other than that, if you could subscribe to my weekly newsletter for weekly updates, and then for vlog, blog, and other video updates, if you could like and follow my Facebook page. Other than that, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.